Welcome to another session of Viral Vocabulary. In this session, we're going to be talking about materials. So in your basic English course, you learned about various materials. You learned about plastic, you learned about metal, you learned about glass, you learned about wood, you learned about paper, and you learned about fabric. So these are all the common materials. But it's surprising, many of us, we have modern things. We buy a new phone, we want the latest phone. But we don't update and upgrade our current vocabulary to a modern language. What do I mean by that? For example, things are no longer made out of plastic. They're made out of many, many different materials. They're not just made out of metal, they're made out of special kinds of metal, and we need to learn those terms. So for example, there's a range of materials called polycarbonates. Polycarbonates. So for example, it's something you use every day. Have you heard of teflon? Teflon. Teflon is the grayish, blackish coating that you see on frying pans so that you don't have to use much oil. And things like eggs don't stick to the frying pan when you use a Teflon frying pan. You can also use Teflon to talk about someone's character. When you want to say someone's very slippery or very devious or very tricky, you can say, he has a Teflon personality. Mr. Teflon, slippery or devious, is Teflon personality. So sometimes we say politicians have a Teflon personality because they're very slippery, they don't answer questions directly, they avoid answering questions that are harmful to their campaign. So we say that's Teflon-like. Another material that's in the polycarbonate family is Tyvek. You're very familiar with envelopes that come in the mail that are unable to be torn. These are made with a fabric, it's actually a polycarbonate called Tyvek. Also you see in the hospital, doctors wear disposable jackets, and also nurses. These are disposable jackets, they put them on, they throw them away at the end of the session. They're also untearable and they're very easy to maintain, they don't tear. So it's called Tyvek. And the third new material is called kevlar. Kevlar is a material that's harder than steel. Three thin layers of kevlar will protect a policeman from a bullet. So most bulletproof vests are made with this material called kevlar. Now that we're on the subject of materials, have you heard of ceramic? Ceramic is a kind of porcelain or china, and it's also a very hard material. Modern ceramics now are used to make things like knives. They're so hard they replace steel knives, and they hold the sharpness very, very long. So you don't need to sharpen a ceramic knife. The last material I want to cover with you today is titanium. Titanium is one of the hardest metals, if not the hardest metal in the world. And we see titanium used in high-tech devices, it's used in rocket ships, and it's used in things like your watch and sometimes in phones. So titanium is a very hard material, harder than steel, one of the hardest materials, one of the hardest metals you can buy. So those are some of the new materials. You should learn them if you want to speak modern English. Bye for now.